it to my page today, I guess. We'll see, but hey, Red, should be live. Okay. Welcome to Real Talk live stream today. It's the Christmas edition, and we apologize for the delay and for the fact that we're not posting to the Walk Right In page like we usually do. We are uncertain why some of the Facebook settings have changed this week, and it's not letting us post as we usually do. So that's the reason for the delays, but we're still really, really excited to be here. Let me put it this way first. Okay, so today we've got Regie Hamm live, Christmas edition. So glad you're here, Regie, with his camera.
I'm really happy to be here.
We are gonna just have some fun today. Real Talk live stream is just often about having fun, a place for especially special needs families to just hang out over lunch. And we usually have interviews with authors and artists and sometimes the family. We're just kind of having fun. And today in particular, more than really educating us, we're really just trying to kick back and enjoy some Christmas time. So I hope if you're watching that you're just encouraged today, maybe a little inspired by some stories that we're going to hear, both fictional and real. It'll be up to you to sort out which is fictional. No, because Regie is a special needs dad and an artist, musician, songwriter, a producer, author, blogger. Just his creativity, his vision for expressing story and love in his art has always been something that I've appreciated. And so I am really excited to have Regie with us today. Carly's going to come say hi for a minute too, and then she's going out to get lunch so that it'll be quiet. But she's going to come over in a moment and say hello. So let me just introduce you, Regie. We actually went through this a couple minutes ago when we were live, and it was only publishing privately. So Regie and I actually met in 2008 through literary agent because we were publishing a book at the time, and Regie was just coming out with his first book at that time too. And Regie and his wife Yolanda were willing to endorse Finding Glory in the Thorns, and we were so excited about that. And we had never even met in person, and we were realizing just this morning, a few minutes ago, that the first time we did actually meet in person was at a Christmas party in 2000. That's right. Yeah.
That's right.
And it was an Angelman syndrome event because both of our children, our girls, my youngest girl, your oldest, have Angelman syndrome. So we're going to hear more of Regie's story about that today. He also, a couple years ago, wrote a Christmas story in addition to his many other books. The Christmas story called One Silent Night has some, well, not about a special needs child at all, is about a dad who has some similar experiences in his heart to a dad with special needs. We might have to talk about that.
Yeah.
And interesting to me, I read that book within a year or so of having seen why can't I think of Something Rotten on Broadway in New York City, a really great musical that they call what are they? Now I'm spacing out the word they use to describe it. It's not a musical. It's a, well, anyway, because it's a parody on musicals, and they had this funny name for it, and it'll come to me later. But when I read your novel, One Silent Night, that has a soundtrack that goes with it, Carly was in a patch of bad sleep, and so I'd sit with my earbuds in so that it didn't keep her awake, in the pitch dark in her bedroom, rubbing her neck, trying to get her to go to sleep, and listening to you narrate the story with your music soundtrack behind it, because you have some traditional carols and some original music, Christmas music that is the backdrop or the soundtrack to the story. And the main character, Ben Chastain, is a pianist, songwriter, all that. So I just got fully absorbed in it. I don't know if it was the whole combination of the season or the pitch black, but it resonated me that it was like a novel, because it was a musical / novel. And I think
That's
you
it.
that word. So it's a novel. So we're going to get a sneak peek at part of that today and hear your story and hear some music. And I think you're all going to fall in love with Reggie's person and his art like I have. And you can get more of it next week. We've got in the show notes how to get tickets for his Christmas concert next Thursday night online, virtually. Do you want to say any more about that right now?
Well, I'm really looking forward to it. I've done a few Facebook Live concerts throughout the COVID thing. Me and all of my performer friends pretty much got canceled for the year. So we've kind of been going online to figure out how to, get to the people, and Facebook Live's been great and the other ways of doing it, but this is through a different platform, and it'll be a nicer experience. There'll be, multiple cameras and really good cameras, and they're going to shoot it a little bit. It'll be kind of between the TV show and a Facebook Live event. So it'll be upstairs in my living room. We've got a white baby grand piano, so it'll look really nice, and I'm just kind of looking forward to it. I really enjoy this time of year, and so it's going to be fun.
Great. Well, I think I'm losing track of what I've said to introduce you now, because I've done it a couple times this morning while we had technical issues. So I just want to make sure people know Regie is multi-talented. He's a special needs dad. He's an author, blogger, songwriter, producer, musician, artist, performer. Jack of all artistic trades in a way. He goes live every Thursday night, as you have for maybe 2-3 years at least.
Yeah.
And reads one of his many weekly blogs. Many meaning there's many a week, not just one a week. He's on Patreon, so you can get some of his blogs publicly and some only by subscription on Patreon for a donation there. And he will typically be sharing about other artists or some of his blog and just commentary on love and what's going on in the world and creativity and music industry. It's just all over the board fun stuff. And so I am just grateful to have you with us today. Regie, would you tell us a little bit about your current situation with art and family, especially given COVID?
Well, it's been very interesting. You guys probably, Lisa, you and Larry probably relate to this. Our sort of family life didn't change all that much with COVID. You know what I mean? We're all kind of in our own. If you've got special needs in your life, you know that there's a routine, or at least for most people, there's a really pretty stringent routine. So our life really hasn't changed all that much. In fact, we joked at the beginning of the lockdown that now everybody gets to figure out, everybody gets to see what we live like, because we never go anywhere really, and we never, go out to eat much. But the thing that has changed is just, like I said earlier, just my ability to go out and perform and earn a living that way, which has been primarily the way I've earned a living for about the last 4 or 5 years, maybe longer than that. Since my first book came out, it kind of catapulted me into this world of kind of going and telling the story, and that's kind of my show now. I don't even like to use the word show, because it's not really a show per se, not like what I used to do as a show. It's really more of a story that I tell, and then there's music sort of interwoven in the story, in the story. But honestly, and this is, man, I hate to be Pollyanna, but it is Christmas. We have actually sort of enjoyed the time with each other. It's sort of forced us together, forced us to interact maybe more than we would have. Where we might have tried to look for some excuse to get out, go somewhere, one of us go do something, whatever. we've just, the world has kind of said, no, you got to stay home. And so we've sort of made the best of it. And it hasn't by a long shot been the worst year we've ever had. I mean, it's been really bad in some ways, and in some ways it's been really good. And so we're kind of looking at the end of 2020 and going, we got through that okay. And now a lot of people didn't, and our heart goes out to anyone who has lost someone or been really sick, or they lost their job, or there's been all kinds of stuff that's happened throughout this. But we've been blessed that we've all stayed healthy, and that's been the main thing.
Carly's trying to come say hi. Carly knows Reggie very well. And we've had him in our home for Christmas concerts before and so forth. So this time of year, especially, she heard his voice this morning right away. She perked right up. You want to say hi? She's going to go get lunch soon, but you want to say hi?
Carly likes to sit next to me at the piano. And Carly, you want to sing with me? Christmas time is here. Happiness and cheer, fun for all the children call their favorite time of year. Snowflakes in the air, carols everywhere, olden times and ancient rhymes, love and dreams to share. Sleigh bells in the air, beauty everywhere. Yuletide by the fireside, and joyful memories. Yeah. Christmas time is here. We'll be drawing near. Oh, that we could always see such spirit through the year.
You want to clap? Yay! Thank you.
Now you can get lunch, Carly.
Yeah. Yay! Good
Yay!
I don't know if it's all the extra online stuff this year, but the last few months since COVID is the first time that Carly has started clapping at appropriate times for performance-like things without being prompted to do it. Now she got a little prompting today, but even then in the past, even if you prompted her, she didn't seem to understand what to do. Yeah. So
well, Lisa, it's me, and she and I are buddies, so
Well, actually, we often have you on Thursday nights when we're eating dinner or something, and she will stop eating to clap her hands. So it is.
She's my buddy.
Yeah,
I love that.
So is that song you just played? Tell people where that comes from. Is that from One Silent Night?
Well, it is from One Silent Night. Obviously, that's the Lucy and Charlie Brown from the Peanuts Christmas specials, Vince Guaraldi song. You're probably used to hearing it with the little children's choir singing "Christmas time is here." Anyway, it's one of my favorite Christmas songs, and so I decided to include it on One Silent Night. When I was One Silent Night, the music actually came first, believe it or not. I was trying to put this Christmas project together for years. I mean, I just would mess around with Christmas songs and go, I'd like to record that, and then I'd mess around with another one. I think I'd like to record that. And it was literally like that. It was like, and then finally I had about 10 that I felt like were ready. And one of them was an original song that was about a story that happened to me when I was a kid. And I started thinking about that story, and that's what kind of sparked the book, One Silent Night. Once I started writing the story down, I realized I needed to fictionalize it and and then I had all of the twists and turns that happened, you know, and what would happen now, and so that's how it happened. But it all kind of sparked out of the music. So.
And for those who don't know your story, like you grew up a pastor's kid, and you were in and you don't have to tell the whole story unless you want to today, but I'm sure they'll hear it if they go to the concert next week. But about the homeless shelter, is that the story you're referencing? Yeah. So that kind of became a springboard for One Silent Night.
Right. Yeah. When I was 9, Dad and Mom took us down to the Nashville Rescue Mission. My brother, I think, was 7. He barely remembers this, and I kind of barely remember it. You know, we were really young, but we went down there on Christmas Eve to sing to the homeless people, and we did it, and we kind of gave some gifts out, and then they took us in this back private room, and where a woman was there with her newborn. She had just given birth that day on Christmas Eve, and we sang songs to her, and she was. I mean, she was really in a mess. I still remember seeing the tracks on her arms. If she was clearly a junkie, she was just, you know, I mean, she was in a homeless shelter on Christmas Eve with a newborn. So, it was jarring for a 9-year-old to see that, you know, and to just kind of get a sense of what all, you know, it took me years really to unpack it. Like, what does someone have to do to end up there on Christmas Eve? And I thought about it my whole life.
How easy it can happen now, don't we?
Oh, absolutely, yes. And I've been close a couple of times. You know, it's like I throughout my life. But every Christmas Eve, I think about them. I think about that woman, and I think about the baby, and where they might be, and how they're doing, and you know, and that was that sparked a song called One Silent Night, and then that song really was the springboard for the book. So
I love the song.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, do you want to play another song from that right now?
Sure.
Go.
You mean to play that one?
Sure.
You mean to play that one?
Yeah.
I've only played this song one time for people, and it was this Sunday.
Really? You didn't play that at the Christmas concert at our house?
Did I play it? I don't know. I don't remember.
Not so, but I don't know for sure. I don't remember your line. I just remember having a lot of fun.
Huh? Yeah, it was fun. One silent night, we went down to the mission. It was gently snowing. Snow was blowing from the north. Mama and my daddy, we went to see a woman and the newborn baby boy, December 24th. Room painted gray, her robe was torn and dirty. The baby she was rocking had no stocking, had no tree. We brought her little presents, and we placed them on her nightstand. And Daddy took up his guitar, and we began to sing. And we sang, all is calm, all is bright. Oh, the infant so tender and mild. Jesus, Lord, love's pure light. Look down from heaven on this one silent night. Year after year, melt away like snowflakes. We make our Christmas memories, yeah, keep them in our heart. But sometimes when it's quiet, I think about that family. I close my eyes, say a little prayer, and then I stop to sing, all is calm, all is bright, holy infant, so tender and mild. Jesus, Lord, love's pure light, look down from heaven on us one silent night, one silent night.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. We're going to hear more from this book and soundtrack, One Silent Night with Regie Hamm. I'll switch back to gallery mode here for a minute while we chat. Tell us a little bit about your family. You and Yolanda have been married like 29 years this December, right?
29 years on the 27th. It'll be 29 years. Yeah. I think when we hit 30, we're just going to date other people. We're not sure. We're still talking about kid. I kid. We joke about it all the time. It's like, you know, after 30, you know, I've lived with my wife almost twice as long as I lived with my parents. So, you know, it's like, so anyone who's been married, you know, for a lot of, you know, now several decades, you know, the jokes get darker and darker as it goes. You know what I mean? So,
well, the last
yeah,
9 months counts as 9 years too, I think.
Boy, no kidding, right? Yeah, 29 years, and our daughter is 18. Isabella is 18, and our son is 14, Gabriel. And so everybody's growing up, and you know, they're doing really well. So we're kind of enjoying life where we are in life right now. You know, people sometimes you see pictures of your children when they're younger, and you kind of pine for that. And I do that. I posted something of my son when he was 7 a couple of days ago. When he did you see the thing where he's playing the piano so earnestly for his sister? It was so cute. But I love them now. You know, I really enjoy where they are now. It's fun to see their lives, and you know, especially watching him kind of interact with the world and sort of find a new relationship with his sister is really, it's kind of a beautiful thing to see.
Yeah.
And so it's not always good, right? You know, it's not always positive. There are negative parts of that. I'm just interested in all of it. I kind of look at it that way. It's kind of all one big piece, and you got to take all of it together. And
well, I appreciate that about you and Yolanda too, that you give Gabe the space to just process life and his thoughts. He's got some deep and marvelous thoughts, and I'm sure as a 14-year-old boy, he's got some new perspectives and insights about being a sibling with a sister like Bella. Certainly my own girls who are now in their late 20s, you know, have evolved in different stages. There were some actually from 14 to 16, 8, 17-ish. For one of our girls, it was a really hard season being a special sibling. She loved her sister, but she really didn't like her a lot. She did more than that. She didn't like the situation she was in.
Right.
She didn't like the role that she had in that situation. So I just love that you and Yolanda are giving him space to explore that. He's a neat boy. Wow.
He is. He's a special kid, and well, you know, it's we all kind of need space for that, right? None of us asked for this, and you know, no matter how long you've been doing it, I really firmly believe you're still constantly processing it, and you're still kind of putting it in your life, you know, how it needs to fit today, right? And how it needs to fit this year. And, you know, our lives were vastly different before Isabella, vastly. And in a lot of ways, it crumbled the very foundations of everything that we were and did and were a part of. And then in other ways, it actually turned us into the people we needed to become, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I much prefer Regie with Isabella as a daughter than Reggie before Isabella. If I met both of those guys on the same night, I much prefer the guy that has Isabella as a daughter than the other guy. And you know, that's what a gift. I don't this might be getting a little too deep. I wouldn't wish that on her to make me a better person. I'm you know, I'm horrified that is the way that has to be for her, but at the same time very thankful for her and you know what she's brought into our lives and the lessons. I call her my teacher, the things I've learned, you know, how to interact with people, just how to what I love about angels is their ability to sort of tune out the noise and understand what needs to be understood in the moment. My daughter can watch someone who may be ranting politically, but if they pick up a guitar and start singing, that's what she's going to focus on. And I'm like, there's a lesson in there somewhere, you know, maybe that's the thing we should focus on a little bit more. So it's helped me, you know. And so
I
you know,
really think it's more than the music too. You know, it's easy for people to dismiss that. Well, these kids with neurological disorders, they just love music. No, I think they get that there's something more important there than.
that's what I think too, Lisa.
Mhm.
Yes, I totally believe that. There's a spirit that comes with it, you know, that she's responding to. I don't believe it's just the music. And you know what? Even if it is just the music, well, how magical is that?
Yeah.
Because we still can't really explain what music is. You know, it's reverberation and it's resonance, but we don't know why it's a language. Music is like the only thing. Like we can't really quantify what it is, why we respond to it. So even if they are just responding to music, to me that's still magical. You know.
Yep, it
So.
is. Well, tell me what the vision for your creativity at this point in your life is, because I know just as you as a person have evolved, so has your kind of mission and vision for your art has changed. Can you tell people about that?
Yeah, 100% actually. It's really changed. My the way I approach things now really is I'm really intrigued about film and storytelling. I want to write more books. I have written a new record and I want to record. I still love making music and I still love performing and I still love that part of my life. I've gone through an evolution with that. I kind of retired a few years ago and said I don't want to do this anymore. And I think in 2019, I kind of figured out why I was doing that, why I was responding that way. A lot of it had to do with my age and just the state of the music business and just the things that I've been through. And this year, I've really, I broke my wrist and it gave me time I couldn't do anything except sit around and do nothing, you know, even more so in COVID. I was even more locked down. And so Yolanda was like, this would be a really good time for you to put all your music up on the digital stream services. And so I did. And I don't know, I've just kind of refallen in love with that part of my life. But it's really about telling stories. It's really about, and not just telling stories, but telling important stories. I'm more on fire than ever to kind of bring awareness to the world of special needs. I think that is an important piece of the world people need to see for a lot of reasons. And a lot of it has to do with just, we're getting into this really weird, these existential conversations about the value of life and these lives matter and those lives matter and, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And I think people who are dealing with special needs literally wake up every morning and have to make a conscious decision that life, all of life is precious and that it all has value, intrinsic value. And I'm really interested in talking about that in art, and that's been one of the byproducts of being a dad with a special needs child, and also with a sibling. What does that mean to my son? Life is like a game of billiards, where all the balls are kind of knocking into each other, and it changes the whole complexion of the game. And if you're raised with someone with a severe disability, what does that do to you, and how does that mark your life? I can't imagine my son's life is. I see it from a dad perspective. I don't know what it's like from a brother perspective. All of those things are real interesting for me to talk about. And the word mission isn't a word I use it a lot, but sometimes I feel like I'm on kind of a mission to talk about those things, whether that be in film, whether that be in books, whether that be in music. Just make that a part of my whatever you want to call it, my piece of the world, my little thing that I do in the universe. And so I'm really more encouraged to do that now than maybe ever. And I'm more, I'm 53 years old. I'm more positive, more creative, more excited about stuff than I've ever been. And so I'm happy that that's the case. I wasn't sure that would be the case at this age, but
well, I got to give you credit for that, because I think that while most of us don't do what we do for money, we still need to make a living, and that's been harder than ever for you. And it would be really easy to get really discouraged and bitter about that. And I know there have been moments when you have been, it would be natural to be, but I just admire your resilience in that. And I would ask even the viewers today watching, like Regie, I know him closely enough as a friend to know he has some amazing work in the can that has not even been seen yet. And that it does include a couple of films that are incredible. I've read the screenplays of at least 2 of your films. And so I just ask everybody, just be praying about that, because even for an award-winning artist like Regie, it is nearly impossible to get those things made and funded and so forth. And so just be praying for Regie's work, for his family, because his stories are truly powerful. They really do change you. And so let's talk some more about this Christmas story and hear some more of your music. I really enjoyed that the story about Ben Chastain kind of helped us see the experience of a family, a very broken one, through different perspectives. Tell us a little bit about, or even read an excerpt and share some more music from that story. But I guess I'm interested to know how you maybe resonated even with how he was emoting and responding to trauma and memories, and how much his life had changed.
Well, that's really astute of you to understand we're talking about trauma, because that's essentially what his journey is. I didn't give him a special needs child. I gave him something worse, actually. But I felt like that was maybe a better device for him. And a lot of people can relate to that kind of loss that this man's dealing with. And what I wanted to do, and if you'll notice, all of the characters, there are a couple of characters with disabilities in the film, or I'm sorry, in the book, but they're all very positive. They're all very positive characters. And I wanted that to be the case. I didn't want that to have a negative pall around it. I wanted anyone in the film that had a disability, I wanted that to be a positive moment. I keep calling it the film. I still believe it's going to be a film.
And just interject, let me say, I believe one of your geniuses as an artist, as a writer especially, is somehow you are able to strike that balance where you've given these characters space to breathe in their grief and trauma and stuff without it being a heavy story. It's actually a delightful story that gets real at times.
Yeah, right.
And I think that's how your family and mine tries to live, like not denying how raw and hard this is, but also trying to live in the gratitude of it and in the joy and the love of it. So anyway, that's my little, go ahead.
Well, that's thank you for saying that. And you're right. We all want, those of us who resonate with each other, which we all certainly did, we kind of come to it with this really sort of gallows humor. You know what I mean? That a lot of people might look at and raise an eyebrow and go, "What? You guys are joking about that?" It's like, well, if you don't, you're going to blow your, you're going to lose your mind.
We're at our house.
Well, thank you for saying that, Lisa. Yeah, I didn't. Obviously, it's Christmas. Nobody wants to read a complete downer at Christmas. But yeah, it did have some heavy. I said this is the Christmas story with a heroin junkie and a dead girl and a graveyard and a broken marriage and all of it's not not made for Hallmark kind of a thing. In fact, a couple of people associated with Hallmark have looked at it and just thought, man, this isn't what we do, and it's not. But I think there's a place for it in the Christmas season. I do. I'm not going to stop believing that there is. I think people. The thing that has always been a constant with me as an artist. I think anybody as an artist. You got a daughter who's one, and I bet she would say the same thing. The minute you get real, that's the minute everybody can kind of breathe, and then they all start resonating with you. That's when they come up to you and go, okay, now you're talking to me, as long as you're kind of playing on this surface thing where we're all kind of trying to pretend that we're at a show and you're the audience and I'm the star and that's going to be the thing we pretend, that's a whole level of entertainment. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But once you break that wall and you get real with people and you go, you know what, guys, I hate to tell you this, my breath really stinks up here. Suddenly they're, now people go, oh, I know how that, yeah, okay, I've been there. And so I felt that I wanted that story to be that way. I wanted people to go read it and go, oh my gosh, I felt that way at Christmas. I've had that very thought at Christmas. And then let's find some redemption in that. Let's take that to, and maybe happy place may not be the right word, but let's at least take it to a redemptive place, because that's what Christmas is, right? That's a new beginning. It's like, man, a new beginning for the world, right? That's what the birth of Christ represents, is like there's this new, everything was kind of dark and gray and we didn't realize we had hope and we didn't realize there was, redemption available, and now there is.
Another baby. He's just another baby. Right. There is no.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So I love that about Christmas. I kind of love I take all of it. I take the secular, the sacred. I love all of it. Love the Christmas tree behind you. I'm into all of it. I'm into the food. I'm into the music. I'm into the lights. And I know that, we've amalgamated it into all this stuff that maybe not really is, but I think we do that for a reason. And I love that we do that. So, yeah. So the story starts out with Ben Chastain. He's an aging piano player. Where did we get that idea? And he's got issues with his family. He's estranged from his wife. He's got a son about to leave the nest. He has a daughter that he lost to a disease years earlier, and the family never recovered from it. And he's really sort of lost his faith in music. He's lost his faith in himself. He's lost his faith in Christmas, and that idea that there can be new beginnings and that there can be miracles. And I think one of the lines that he says is, "Miracles don't exist," But then he has a chance encounter at this hotel where he's playing downtown Nashville. On December the 23rd, he meets a family that sort of literally bump into him in the hotel, and he starts playing songs for their little girl who has Down syndrome. Her name is Angel, and this is where some of these songs come from. He plays "Christmas Time Is Here" for her. He plays other songs, and some of these songs he hears in his head. Some of these songs he actually plays with a combo. Some of these songs he just plays at the piano. And so I try to produce it in such a way so that when you hear the song in the audiobook, you hear it the way either it's being played live, or you hear it the way he heard it in his head, or you hear the rawness of just him playing it on the piano. There's some ancillary musicians that come in and out. There's a couple of fiddle players, and there's a harmonica player, and a little three-piece combo that he plays with. And these songs sort of pepper his odyssey that he takes through Nashville on Christmas Eve, that finds him at a Christmas party with like a dozen adopted children at this house, and then it ends up at a graveyard, and then it ends up in a really bad part of town. And I don't want to give away the whole story, but and it reconciles, and it reconciles a big part of his life, and then his wife and son sort of come to their own epiphanies on the same night, and they all kind of reconcile at the same time. And so I'm kind of getting excited telling the story again. I kind of want to go back and reread it, but
yeah, I had it because I only had a PDF copy and electronic digital that I listened to. I had to go kind of hunt down pieces of it to remember, because it's been probably 2 years since I read it. It's so good. I want to read it again.
You.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right, will you play us some more music from the soundtrack?
I will. So one of the songs that Ben plays, the first song he plays is what he calls a Ben Chastain original. It's actually a Regie Hamm original. And so I wrote this song because I write Christmas songs every year, hoping that one of them will turn into White Christmas and I'll never have to work again. But this song opens the CD. It opens the book, and it's Ben Chastain's song written by Regie Hamm song. But the days are getting shorter now. Summer's come and gone. The nights are filled with chilly winds. The world begins to count the days to Christmas. And when I see our Christmas tree decorated with bows and lights, I start to feel the season getting bright. And when I hear those carols start, when I hear jingle bells or sleigh ride, I start to feel all Christmassy inside. I'm just like a kid again. Can't wait to open up those presents. Wide awake and can't see Santa's coming back, so we gotta get to sleep. Let the snow fall all night long. 'Cause when the weather is cold outside, I start to feel all Christmassy inside. Wide awake and can't see Santa's coming back, so we gotta get to sleep. When I see a Christmas tree, I get the spirit of the old Yuletide. I start to feel all Christmassy inside. I start to feel all Christmassy inside. See, it's not all dark.
I just love that song. It's a great feel-good song, and I'm a kind of a jazz piano lover, so yeah.
Well, that's all the jazz I know, so I threw it all in one song.
Well, you do a lot of R&B, which is probably my favorite genre, but I have pretty eclectic taste, so yeah, I love it. Thank you for playing that.
You. Sure.
We'll need to get you to do another one yet here, but I had another question just about Christmas, specifically in your family. Like, what is it like for you with, Bella has challenging behaviors, and I'm sure a lot of anxiety right now with the way the lifestyle is with COVID. And so, just how what is it going to look like? How does tradition and gatherings and COVID and gifts, what does that look like because of Bella and with Bella?
Well, well, one of the things that happened this year was we kind of opted out. Our family, we have all of my extended family here in Nashville, and they're kind of all over the place. So Thanksgivings and Christmases are usually like 30 plus people, at somebody's house. And so this particular year, Thanksgiving, we sort of opted out of that. And my brother had the big gathering in his house, and we just sort of stayed at our place and had just the four of us. My mother-in-law lives with me too. So kind of the five of us had our own little kind of tender Thanksgiving, and it was wonderful. It was one of the best Thanksgivings we've ever had. Yes, my mother-in-law lives with me. That's how I'm getting into heaven. No, I'm kidding. But no, it was nice, to be with everybody and just be able to kind of really engage for a period of time, without, there being everybody swirling. I love that too, but it was nice to be able to just kind of talk to my son and talk to my wife, and, so we really enjoyed it. And
At
some
14,
of that just,
did he talk back?
I'm sorry?
At 14, did he talk back or did he just grunt?
He did. He does get interested in what we have to say occasionally, and he will interject, and it was lovely. We actually had a lovely time with him. But yes, there are very many times when he just kind of, but part of that decision was just we knew that there had been some people with COVID that were going to be there. We didn't want to put them on guard with, constantly kind of watching out for Bella, and me kind of constantly watching out for Bella. She's very active and she wants to hug people, and you guys know, and and she wants to touch and kiss and all of the stuff we're not supposed to be doing right now. So we just felt like it was kind of better to opt out. Now, Christmas Eve, I think we are going to have family over. We're going to at least give it a shot. And she likes that for a time. And then sometimes when she's had it, she starts escorting people out the door, which is awesome.
She's a great greeter. When you come into the Hamm house, Bella will take everybody's hands and connect you together.
That's right.
Everybody to be together.
Everybody's got to be friends. That's right.
For a hug. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
But then when she's done, like, okay, you can go now.
Yeah, we've all done that. Now it's time for you to go. But they all think it's hysterical. She'll literally take them by the hand and lead them to the door and open the door and push them out. So we don't have to say anything, right? She's doing it all for us. And then Christmas morning it's always just been the four of us, and that's always been fun. And she loves to tear into presents. So, there's always presents there for her to tear into. And it'll be no different this year. I believe Santa's on his way, and and then once it's all done, we clean up the paper on the floor, and we just sort of have a chilled out day. And for several years, the rest of the day entailed me putting some assembly required things together. I don't think I'm going to have to do any of that this year, so I'm kind of happy to be beyond that stage. Of course, the price tag for the toys has gone up immensely, so
when Carly was still learning how to use her fingers very well, which she kind of still is, and was finally starting to figure out the concept of opening a present, we would separate all the pieces of gifts and wrap them separately in order to create multiple gifts. And preceding that, it was therefore therapeutic with the fine motor skills. But preceding that, we would wrap like just a couple raisins, a box of raisins, a couple of Cheerios, and coax her to unwrap it with the reward inside, so that then she always learned, if I keep pulling paper off, there's going to be something fun in there. But
that's really genius too, because if it's food, it's immediate, right? It's like you get it immediately. I love that. Yeah.
The challenge was too, at that same stage, she was so obsessed with paper and plastic, and everything was going in her mouth. So we never had the big mound of paper to clean up afterwards. We had to stay like hyper alert as everyone opened each individual gift. You had to be running around with the big bag, stuffing it in quick, so there were no little pieces of plastic lost that might be a choking hazard or whatever.
Right.
So at her being 22 now, we're so glad that Carly has matured beyond that. And for those with younger kids who are wondering if the day will ever come, I mean, it's just a testimony of patiently persevering with trying to teach them and say, you won't always maybe have to chase around with the bag.
Right, right.
The traditional sort of moments of just letting all the crap lay around.
That's right. That's good. That's good to know.
Yeah.
That's really, yeah, we kind of did the same thing with Bella. We discovered early on that we could save a lot of money if we sort of spaced out, like you're talking about. If something came in there were 3 pieces to it, wrap them all separately, and
Yeah. Wrapping took forever.
Oh yeah,
Multiple Hallmark movies.
You had to watch the girl from the city reconnect with her old high school boyfriend, who's now running a ranch in Montana with the precocious 12-year-old daughter. You had to watch that happen 6 or 7 times. I got it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And every one of those men was gorgeous. Every with perfect teeth. Yeah. So play another song, because we're oh no, we've got more time because we started so late. We still have 15 minutes. So
okay.
Play us another song, Regie, and I'll
just nuts roasting on an open fire. Jack Frost nipping at your nose. Yuletide carols being sung by a choir, and folks dressed up like Eskimos. Everybody knows a turkey and some mistletoe helps to make the season bright. Tiny tots with their eyes all aglow, they'll find it hard to sleep tonight. They know that Santa's on his way. He's loaded lots of toys and goodies on a sleigh. And every mother's child is gonna spy to see if reindeer really know how to fly. And so I'm offering this simple phrase to kids from 1 to 92. Although it's been said many times, many ways, Merry Christmas to you. And every mother's child is gonna spy to see if reindeer really know how to fly. So I'm offering this simple phrase to kids from 1 to 92. Although it's been said many times, many ways, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas to you. And that's all the chords I know.
That's a tricky song. That's always been a tricky song for me to play.
It is a tricky song. It's very tricky. It's I love Christmas songs. They pull out all the stops. They pull out all the circle of fifth stops, and but It's one of my favorites. I love Nat King Cole's version of it. I think that's like maybe the best Christmas thing ever done. So,
Well, you do a mighty fine version yourself,
well,
sir.
thank you. I appreciate that.
And I just was going to say we were playing a very rare weeknight game since Aaron is home visiting the other night, and had some Christmas carols on in the background. Just awesome. One of those treasured moments, rare. And Phil Driscoll, Christmas was playing, and we got talking for a minute about how, you have these, like, of course, most Christian families, especially our age, the Amy Grant certain Christmas album
Sure.
marked this decade for you or something, and will forever hearken you back to that. And every song on it was amazing. It's rare to have a whole album full of music. And I mean this very genuinely, not just to publicly sort of like, ooh, Regie, whatever. I genuinely, when I first heard the soundtrack to One Silent Night, it was first for a while, just a fresh Christmas music that across the board, I just loved every arrangement, every song, and different things about it. I hope everybody can go, it's all over, like Amazon, YouTube, you can get all the songs from that album. But, and we'll talk more about how you can get the whole story and everything in a couple minutes here. But a couple songs that came to my mind while you were playing that one too, that I love. The Deck the Halls, your version of Deck the Halls, which can kind of be like a repetitive, like, oh, you've heard it 100,000 times. When I first heard your version, I just love it. I love it. And I love Gabe's little boy voice on there. You just referenced it in a post the other day. It's just the story behind how he came up with that and everything. People who don't follow you should to catch that. It's really cute. And then the other one that I absolutely love, that I've actually never liked the song at Christmas time that much until I heard your version, Little Drummer Boy.
Yeah.
Absolutely love your
Well,
version.
thank you so much. That song has been very special to me my whole life. Like you said, everybody knows now. I mean, I was a child musician, and I started out playing the drums. That was actually my first instrument. And so when you're a little kid who plays the drums, you're a little boy who plays the drums, you are forevermore in every Christmas play the official little drummer boy. And so every Christmas play, from the time I was maybe 5 until maybe I was 11 or 12, they rewrote the Christmas play to have me be the little drummer boy. And obviously that's not a part of the Christmas story. We don't know, it was sort of created out of whole cloth by Catherine Kennicott Davis as a song. But I have so many memories of sort of sitting behind, Mary and Joseph and playing the drum and, being a part of the Christmas story, just sort of written into it. And I just kind of developed this really interesting relationship with that guy, and the thing that always resonated with me, the line that still kind of brings me to tears because it says so much. I played my drum for him. I played my best for him. And it's from the heart of someone who, they don't really have anything else except this gift, this whatever this is, that they have this talent. And you have talented people in your family, so and you try to give this the best you can, and and it's like there's something really pure about that, and just real I don't know, kind of gut level, like I'm giving this baby everything I've ever been given, and the best I can do it. And then I think he smiled at me. It's so if you listen to the lyrics, and I feel this way about like songs that we kind of roll our eyes at. I've got a whole thing on the national anthem, but I think if you really look at the lyrics and you really kind of pay attention to what these people are saying, it's kind of a awesome little story. So when I produced it, I wanted it to be that way. I wanted to bring it down to this level where everybody would really listen to it, and so I don't know. I mean, there's not a lot going on. It's really just me and I'm playing the piano and I'm doing all the drum stuff, and it's a lot of loops and stuff, but it's just me and a cellist and a violinist. That's really it. That's the entire track.
Well, that makes it sound simple and boring, but trust me, people, it is not. Yeah. And I love what you're saying. You know, it brings up a really good message for me of Christmas. We talk so much about gifts, and we're talking about special needs families here too. And just the reality that little boy beating the drum in that song is really, he wants to give his best, but it's not out of some desire to earn some favor or anything.
Right.
It's just complete adoration in that moment, of a recognition of holiness in that moment, you know, which I think that we all resonate with in special needs families too. We do a lot of serving, giving, caring for each other without ever getting anything in return, really. And we understand, as many people don't always get the opportunity to, or aren't forced to, as we have, to know what it means to unconditionally just love someone who cannot necessarily give much or anything back. And Christmas, you know, we as Christians get so caught up in confusing what worship really is and what living really is, and constantly in a culture that makes us believe we have to earn stuff, you know. And Christmas just gives us the space to remember that we were given something we didn't deserve, that we can't earn, and that is beautiful. And it just gives us a moment to pause and love everything about what this season represents, and not earning any of it, not expecting anything out of it, but to just rest in the gift that God is to us. I love that message, and in a less overt way, that's part of what your life story and a lot of what you write conveys.
That's so well put, Lisa. That's absolutely right. And I think that's why I love the season so much. It's probably why everybody loves it, maybe whether they can articulate it the way you just did or not. But that's right. It's, you know, I spoke with an atheist one night in New York City, and we talked to each other till the wee hours of the morning. And he said, man, give me the sales pitch. Everybody gives me the sales pitch. So you give me the sales pitch. And I said, man, I don't really have a sales pitch for you. I said, here's what I would say. There is nothing about unconditional love that jives with human instinct. And that is a unique thing. That is a unique thing in the world, to experience this kind of love, that you will do something, or someone will do something for you. They don't expect anything in return. They're not trying to get anything out of it. It's not a self-preservation thing. It's just, I need to give you this. And we don't see that really in the animal kingdom. You know, it's like, this is a thing that's kind of a gift that's been given to us. And the Bible says that God is love, that's what God, you know, that's the Spirit of God. And so whether you believe in God or not, if you're experiencing that kind of love, if you've ever been in touch with that kind of love, then you've experienced the Spirit of God. Whether you believe it or not, that's up to you. And at the end of the night, he grabbed me and hugged me. He said, I need to hang out with people like you more often. You know, I don't know that he still believes in God or not, but I think that's the point. You know, the point is that what you just said, Lisa, is this unconditional gift that says, you can't do anything to earn this. I don't even want you to try. This is, you know, that's what Jesus' whole thing is about. And it starts at Christmas. Obviously, you know, we celebrate Easter, and that's the sort of triumph of it. But the fact that it starts with a baby is such a great, you know.
It's a great.
Yeah.
He was an artist, which we know God is, the first and the greatest of them all. He picked an epic way to tell this story that we are still living it today. Yeah.
That's right. That's it.
Yeah.
So Would you
Hey,
like me to
I saw
do?
your bride peeking in the doorway back there. Is she going to come and say hello?
Oh, I don't know. Is that who you were waving at? I wasn't even.
Uh-huh.
I was
Yeah,
just over here into
yeah.
my own world.
Yolanda, if you're watching, come say hello.
I think she just got home from work, so she
Oh,
probably doesn't want to. Yeah,
probably tired. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, Regie, would you play us one more song and we'll share? Before you do, let me just let people know in the description, there's show notes there. I may even go back and edit and add a couple more things, but there's information in there about how to find Regie on Patreon, because that's where you could download a version of this book and the music. The music is also in single songs posted on Amazon and YouTube and Spotify. It's all on Spotify.
It's everywhere. Yeah.
Or everything. So you can find them everywhere. Hopefully you'll find them in places where you can afford to actually pay a little so you can make a little money too. And like I mentioned, I also he's got a couple of tip jars, like you can Venmo him a tip. And folks, if typically we get anywhere between 500 and 1,000 some viewers of this, if everybody even just gave a buck or two, it would just be a beautiful Christmas treat for the Hamm family. So I'm really not asking you to do a big stretch here. Just be a blessing to somebody else, even if it's just a little bit. It just also, your comments here, that kind of stuff, just as encouragement to we know all of us how much words and connection points are powerful ways to express our love for and appreciation for each other too. So I hope you'll do that for Regie today. There's also information, if you're not familiar, about how to connect with us at Walk Right In Ministries. We're a ministry building faith and community with special needs families, and we offer several kinds of services from, and most of them virtual these days, but for caregiver consulting, individual couples and family counseling. We have books and resources. We have every Tuesday afternoon at 2 right now, we're doing a peer discussion group, faith-based discussion group, mostly special needs moms, but all caregivers in a family with special needs are welcome, including like older siblings, any grandparent. We've had grandparents, we've had some dads. We just sit around and chat. We have kind of a foundational devotional discussion, and then we just kind of encourage each other with some insights and stuff. It's a really great time. We do these once a month. What else? Anyway, you can find all about us on walkrightin.org. And we'll be doing our next Real Talk live stream like this in January. It's usually the second week of the month, but we haven't set the January date yet. And in February, we're going to have Joe and Cindy Farini, who wrote the book Love Always. So it's a book for parents and marriages impacted by special needs. And what else? I think that's about it. So make sure you get all that info if you want it. And we're going to have Regie play us another Christmas song.
Lisa, I wanted to point out too, anyone who buys a ticket to the Christmas concert will get a free download of the audiobook One Silent Night. That kind of comes with the package. So
Awesome.
You'll get that, and also there'll be the CD separately there too. So you'll have the song separately, the audiobook, and then you also can access the concert. And a lot of people ask this: if you purchase the concert, it's next week at 6 p.m. But if you purchase it, you can access it anytime. You'll be able to see it anytime. The only thing you won't be able to do, obviously, is to interact live as it's happening, which you will be able to do if you are there for the live stream. But
Okay.
it's on a platform called Crowd Music, and it's a new thing we're trying, and it's a way to kind of monetize live shows and that type of thing. So so it is a ticket price, but I think you get a lot of value for that ticket price.
It's
So
$25, right?
I think that's right. It's 20 and some change. I believe it is 25 by the time they've added the fees and the taxes and everything. So
okay. Cost of a takeout meal for your family at McDonald's.
There you go. You brought up the Deck the Halls. I think I'll finish with that one.
Okay.
If you listen to that track on the record, it opens with my son's song, Santa, You Are My Favorite. And he wrote that song for Santa Claus as a gift because he was really upset when he was 4 that everybody got gifts from Santa, but nobody brought Santa gifts. So he insisted that we come in the studio and we record Santa a CD by him, and he recorded it, this little 10-song, this little 10-second song, and he took it and presented it to Santa, and it was awesome. And he knew exactly what he wanted to say, and he did it, and he was like, Santa Claus, you bring me all those toys and go, you are my favorite, oh yeah.
Oh,
It's the greatest Christmas song ever written. So I put that at the beginning of Deck the Halls. Deck the halls with boughs of holly. La 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 la. 'Tis the season to be jolly. La 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 la. Coming down our gay apparel. La 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 la. Join the ancient Yuletide carol. La 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 la. See the ancient Yule before us. La 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 la. Strike the harp and join the chorus. La 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 la. Follow me in merry measure. Follow la 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 la. As I sing of Yuletide treasure. La 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 la. I love the music and magic that's everywhere. And there's so much wonder that we can share. And I can hear laughter everywhere. Deck the halls with boughs of holly. La 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 la. 'Tis the season to be jolly. La 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 la. Remembering the sacred reason. La 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 la. Joy and laughter fill the season. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la.
awesome. Yay. I'll just forever hear his voice in my mind. It was a
I
G
know.
on the front of that.
And the laughter in that track is my angel. That's Isabella laughing. So I've got both kids on there laughing, and one's laughing, and well, both of them are laughing because Gabe's laughing as a baby too. But so he's got his song in the front, and then she's got her laughter in there. So all the hams are represented. So.
And it just fits. Laughter everywhere. Love it.
Right.
You know, I realized we never once mentioned your book, Angels and Idols, and you've got a couple of other books available. But for people who don't know your idol story, you want to just take a quick moment to just give the high point of why
Sure.
we had American Idol in our little graphic for the promo of this.
Yeah. So prior to children, my wife and I were in the music business pretty hard and heavy. She was a record promoter, and I was a hot shot songwriter. And I kind of went from that profession to made the leap into artistry. Got a record deal with Universal Records. Was about to tour with people like Cher and the Goo Goo Dolls and that whole world, and had a single climbing the charts. just about to break through. But the week my record came out, we got word that we were supposed to get on a plane to China and go. We had put in to adopt a little girl from China, and we had to be in China the same week my record came out. So we had the listening party, and we got on a plane and went to China. We were there for 3 weeks during SARS, very, very dramatic. And a lot of COVID has brought back a lot of memories from those days. Masks everywhere and all that. They handed us this little girl with one of the rarest genetic disorders on the planet. And
which you didn't know till she was like 5, right?
No idea. They didn't know either. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we get back from China with this little baby with all of these really weird tics and these really weird symptoms, thinking that it'll all even out once we kind of get her on a routine and a nutrition schedule and all of that. But it obviously did not get better, and it kind of descended into this really weird odyssey of trying to figure out what's going on. And at the same time, my hit record basically imploded, and all of the great stuff that was happening, all the tour dates got canceled. My single died, lost my record deal with Universal. And we kind of went into this really weird odyssey of just trying to survive. And I wasn't getting songs recorded anymore. And all of the stuff that had been working for me up until then stopped working for me. And kind of at the edge of just oblivion, just like, I don't know what to do now. My wife asked me to write a song for the American Idol songwriting contest.
It always makes me laugh. I mean, if people don't know Regie, he had over 20 #1 hits, like big, epic hits, most of them in the Christian music business, but he has artists that all kinds of names you'd recognize he's written for. He never once entered a contest, let alone American Idol. And then he's going to write that not knowing what it's going to lead to.
Yeah, so I never entered a song contest before, didn't even know how to do it, but I was eligible because I was not being published at the time. I wrote the song and I entered the contest, and I won the contest, and then the song kind of started becoming a hit. David Cook performed it, and it went out into the world and became a hit. But the cool thing that happened with it, it started being played on the radio, and they started using it in all these TV programs. But when we had been in Beijing, the week before we got Isabella, we got these little hats that said 2008 Beijing Olympic Games. We were going to bring her back to the 2008 Games. We made a pact with 4 other families on a bus in Beijing. We're all coming back here for the Olympics. Everybody in? We're all in. And obviously we got home, and our life went haywire, and we kind of lost touch with everybody, and none of that was going to happen. But when they closed the opening ceremonies of the Beijing Olympic Games, they closed them to this song that I had written, basically about Isabella and Gabe. And it's there for 1 billion people to watch, and it was at the games, and it became Michael Phelps' theme song. Every time he won a gold medal, they used the song. And so we couldn't be there, obviously, but the story was there, and it got there through music, which is the perfect way for it to go. So when that happened, it was so ironic, and it was so such a cool moment, or nobody really knew what to do with it. And so I wrote a blog about it and put it up on MySpace. MySpace was a thing at the time, and it went viral. It millions of downloads and millions of posts. And then I got contacted by a book publisher saying they thought it would be a really great book. And so that's the book came out in 2010, and we're still sort of in the negotiations of trying to turn that into a film. We are in the process now of doing the documentary version of that. We've been shooting footage for years. And so I just saw kind of a 40-minute rough cut the other day. We're a ways off from being there, but it's closer than we've been. So we'll have that piece will be ready. And then I think at some point it might be a feature film, which I think would be a great sort of postcard to people who are, again, Wes, like I talked about earlier, opening the door or kind of pulling the curtain back on what it's like to be a family with someone with special needs in your life. And that's what we want it to be. We want it to be a love letter to this community. You know, we want people to see it and go and resonate and go, oh my gosh, that's us. We go through that very same thing, you know. So and then of course there's a great story, you know, and there's a great happy ending, and it's not anything I could have ever dreamed up or written, but it's just got all the elements of a great, you know, drama. And so, and it really did happen that way. That's the cool thing. Like, people have asked me how close is the film going to be to the real thing, and it's like, you know, there's going to be a lot of dramatized stuff, and you got to move time around and stuff. But I think it's going to end up being maybe 60 or 70% totally accurate. But the beats, the high points, and all of that stuff that you would see in the film did literally happen that way. So it's just fascinating the way God works, you know. Like you said, Lisa, the best artist, the greatest artist. So
it forced Apple to figure out their technology a little better, because so many people tried to download it that it crashed the iTunes server.
The only one that's ever done that I know of, that I've heard of.
Yeah. So thank you for always not giving up, telling your story and helping to tell other people's stories, and imaginative stories that resonate with us, that help us grieve, help take us to joy, help us remember love is everything. I just really appreciate that. Regie, I'd like to close us in a prayer, and then would you mind playing at least some of Time of My Life to play us out?
Sure.
You can
Don't
play
mind
it
at all
if you want to, but I know you have to play it all the time. So whatever you want, I'll let you do that. And
you know, I don't mind ever playing that song.
Yeah, well, that's great. I love that. I'm going to pray. Heavenly Father, we just thank you so much for all that this Christmas season offers us. And in the midst of all the challenges this year with it, I pray that the families listening and just people around the world would take a pause, whether they celebrate Christmas or not. Lord, as this year rounds out, help us to just take a pause and somehow see love and you in that, in the midst of it all. God, I thank you so much for this, a little more than an hour, to just be together with people all over whose presence we don't see, but we fully feel and recognize. And I thank you for the connectedness that you bring to those of us who love you and follow you. God, we want to be like that drummer boy, especially this Christmas season, but as a lifestyle of just recognizing the holy moments and loving you and receiving love, Jesus. Sometimes it's as hard to receive it as it is to give it. So help us, Lord, to grow in that. Help Christmas to be a season that grows it in us. Thank you for the way that you've used art and personal stories today to remind us of what's really most important, God. I pray your blessing on the Hamm family and all of those listening. And I just thank you for the opportunity to do a work like this with the technology that you have put in the minds of people, Lord. Nothing good everything good comes from you, God. You are the author and perfecter of every good gift and of our faith. And we thank you so much for that. We pray all of this in the name of Jesus Christ, born at this time of year as we remember it. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I've been waiting for my dreams to turn into something I could believe in. Looking for that magic rainbow on the horizon. I couldn't see it until I let go. Gave in to love and watched all the bitterness burn. Now I'm coming alive, body and soul. I'm feeling my world start to turn. I tasted the moment, I'm living it out loud. I know this is the time. This is the time to be more than a name, for a face in the crowd. I know this is the time.
This is the time of my life. Time of my life. Holding on to things that vanished into the air. Left me in pieces, but now I'm rising from the ashes, finding my wings, and all that I needed was there all along, within my reach, as close as the beat of my heart. And I taste every moment, I'm giving out light. I know this is the time. This is the time to be more than a name, for a face in the crowd. I know this is the time. This is the time of my life. Time of my life. And I'm on the edge of forever, ready to run. I'm keeping my feet on the ground, arms open wide, face to the sun. And I'll taste every moment and live it out loud. I know this is the time. This is the time to be more than a name, for a face in the crowd. I know this is the time. This is the time of my life. Time of my life. To be more than a name, for a face in the crowd. I know this is the time. This is the time of my life. The time of my life. The time of my life.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Regie. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. It's been really great to be together. Have a great, wonderful Merry Christmas season.